Hi, I'm Gisela from Infinite Book Equity, and I have dedicated this channel to small business owners who want to run their own books but also understand the financial reports that are generated through their accounting system. In today's video, we are going to review the difference between the cash and accrual accounting method. So I hope by the end of this video, you are able to determine the difference between both of them, and also hopefully it is able to guide you along with your CPA or attorney what is the best accounting method for your business. So you might ask yourself, what is an accounting method? Well, an accounting method is the rules by which a company will report its revenues and expenses. There are three types of accounting methods. There is the cash basis, the accrual basis, and one that you might have is the hybrid method. We are going to review the cash basis and accrual basis because they are the most commonly used. So what is the cash basis? Well, the cash basis reports revenue on the income statement only when cash is received. So for example, say you are waiting on a payment from a client and that client has explained to you that they have already sent it in the mail. You will not be able to report that income until it is received in your office or that client has put that money in your hand. And same idea for expenses. Expenses are not recorded until you have physically paid that out. So you have sent out that check or you have physically put that cash in the vendor's hands. The cash basis is mostly used by small businesses or for personal finances. So you might ask yourself, what are the pros and cons? Well, the advantages of the cash method is most feel that it is much easier because it only accounts for cash paid or received. Tracking the cash flow of a company is also easier in the cash method because it only accounts for cash paid or received. When it comes to taxes, one of the biggest pros for the cash method is that you would not have to pay taxes on revenue that you have not received. An example of this would be you did services for a client in November and you do not receive that payment until January. Well, that is into the following tax year, so therefore that income will be reported until the following year, and in return you would not have to report it in the current year. Hopefully I explained that clearly. With all of that, it would sound like cash basis is the one to go for, right? But there are some disadvantages to the cash basis. One of those disadvantages is that it overstates the health of a company. So in the report, in the cash flow report, it might state, okay, we have a lot of cash in the account, but since it does not reflect accounts receivable or accounts payable, it also is not going to reflect any accounts or accounts payable that we have in the system, any bills that we owe, any liabilities, and none of that is going to be reflected on the report. Therefore, we might have more expenses than the amount of cash that we have in the account. Also, it does not conform to the generally accepted accounting principles or GAAP, which is the rules that we have to abide when we're reporting revenues and expenses. And again, this is you have to understand that rule first. The rule is that if you make in sales more than 25 million, then you have to automatically use the accrual basis. But if you make less than that and you do not have inventory, then the cash basis can be an option for you. Another disadvantage is if your company starts off with a cash basis and you are making sales less than 25 million, but in the future, sales increase to more than 25 million, the only way to change your accounting method would be to report it to the IRS. In that aspect, you would have to do your research on what do you see as the future of your business. Do you expect to stay under the 25 million? And again, if you are not selling inventory or you do not have inventory, then again, cash basis might be a good option for you, for your business. But again, all of these this is just information to guide you in making that decision. That would be something that you would need to review or decide with a CPA. We have gone over what the cash basis is. Now, what is the accrual basis? Well, accrual basis accounts for revenue and expenses as they occur. So for example, if you went out and did a service for a client today and they are not due to pay you until 15 days out, well, that will count for today. So that will be counting for this current year. So that today's date would be the accounting date for it. Same thing with expenses. So if I go out to Staples and buy office supplies, today's date will account for the expense. So the day it happens, the day you either sell an item or perform a service, that is the date that revenue will account for. Also expenses, the day that you physically buy that item, or the day you buy that item, is the date that will be in the reports as the expense. Hopefully that made sense. Let me know if you have any questions in regards to it. So the accrual basis is the most commonly used method, and it does abide by the GAAP rules. The advantage of an accrual basis, it includes accounts receivables and payables. Therefore, it portrays a more accurate picture of the profits that your business is making, especially in the long term.
If you remember, we mentioned earlier that the accrual method does conform to the nationally accepted accounting standards, GAAP, because with the accrual accounting method, you do not have to worry if you're making less than 25 million or more than 25 million. There's no worry that you will have to switch accounting methods in the future. So that's definitely a plus. Just like we mentioned before that the cash method has a tax advantage, so does the accrual method. In the accrual method, expenses can be claimed on tax returns before they are paid. Back to the Staples example, if you charge expenses, say December 20th, and you charge it on a credit card and you're not going to pay off those expenses until January, because the expense happened in December, it will be claimed in the current year, not in next year's expenses. So let's continue on.
So what are disadvantages of the accrual basis? A disadvantage of the accrual basis is that it does not track cash very well. So for example, it might make the company look profitable in the future months or in the future years, but it might not account for that we are low on cash for this month, so how are expenses going to be taken care of? So that's one of the disadvantages with the accrual basis. It can be complicated because it accounts for unearned revenue and prepaid expenses. Because the accrual method is seen as more complicated and because it does not track cash flow very well, some small business owners see it as complicated and more expensive to use. Some side notes that I hope that you take from the accrual and cash basis are that, again, if you are making in sales 25 million or less and you do not have any inventory to account for, then the cash method could be a good option for you. Again, all these are just for information purposes. This would be something that you would need to review with your CPA, your person that will be preparing your taxes, so that you have a better idea of what works best for your company. Also, remember that if you are making more than 25 million in sales, then definitely you are to be using the accrual basis. There's no option in that aspect. We did mention the hybrid method at the beginning of this video, and we did not go in depth with it because it's not as common, but the hybrid, it would use both methods. So some can use the accrual method for inventory and use the cash method for revenue expenses. There are a couple of options that you have, and I cannot stress enough how important it is to review this with your tax preparer and a lawyer if you need to determine what is best for your business. So I hope that this gave you a much clearer understanding of what the accrual and cash accounting methods are.
Leave me a comment or send me a message and let me know, what did you think about the video and what would you like to see? Is there any questions that you might have,
Or is there something that you are having a hard time and you would like to see how to get it done, or a tutorial on it? Just let me know. I would be glad to record it for you guys. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I hope to see you on my channel next week.